Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Now, Everything Old is New Again, America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, bark like a dog for me.
Where's the goodies? Leave the gun. Technical knowledge.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed. When you recover something that's either landed or crashed, sometimes you encounter dead pilots. And believe it or not, as fantastical as that sounds, it's true.
Welcome. Everything Old is New Again. Douglas Viviani here. That is David Grush, the UFO whistleblower extraordinaire, if you will. And I am here with David Cohen, the original skeptic. David, how are you?
I'm doing well. Just beamed down from a UFO myself, so the timing couldn't be better.
All right. Well, that's good to hear because we have the one, the only ufologist extraordinaire himself, the aficionado of all things odd. Dr. John Viviani has joined us. We are going to be diving into, you love when I say that, and peeling the onion and exploring all things UFO this week and next. There's been a lot of developments. Dr. Viviani, welcome aboard.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right. I think this is appearance number 17, and next week will be 18.
Wow.
Really?
How about that?
Yeah, well, my staff's been working overtime on research.
And paying us off to have you come on board, so that's okay.
Doesn't he get a jacket at some point?
Yes. He's got to get he's got the shirt. We gave him the shirt.
I have a shirt.
Yeah.
But I think 20 appearances, you get the white jacket.
Is the white sateen jacket?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Or maybe it's a team of people in white jackets that come to get you. I don't remember.
Well, I'll tell you this. There are questions galore surrounding the UFO phenomenon, which we have been developing and we have been exploring since day one. This is going to be year, I believe, 9 of Everything Old is New Again. And other than some other extraordinary news coming up down the pike for Everything Old is New Again, we have been on the forefront. Before Tucker, before, what's that guy, Lemon, before all these guys on CNN and NBC and all the stations, right? Before all of them, who was talking about UFOs and exploring it so that you can just distill this down to understand what in the world is going on? Who? David Cohen, who's been doing that?
That would be us.
Correct. So do you feel, Dr. Viviani, that your appearances, 17 of them, on this show has had any effect whatsoever in the UFO community and the presentation in not only Hollywood, because we talked about that, but in now Washington, D.C.?
Oh, without a doubt.
With David Grush, the UFO whistleblower. Do you think we've given him the impetus?
The confidence to come forward. Yes, it's like an explosion of knowledge coming out.
And who is this David Grush? Should we talk about him for a moment? I just want to. I don't usually read things, but this is from the New York Times columnist.
Say that again.
Ezra Klein noted that Grush's presentations, his revelations, are the biggest news break of all time, and it's ridiculous to not be talking about this subject, and media organizations, he's saying now, are taking cranks seriously. So he's doing two things. He's saying this is a great story.
Who
but
is he?
Is it real? He's some goof. Some
Who, Grush?
No, he's a New York Times columnist, Ezra Klein. I don't know. We all of a sudden, I guess, because people write something in the newspaper, we give them some authority.
Ezra Klein he's a very respected journalist,
All right, so there he is.
How you feel about his viewpoints.
No, but I'm interested in his viewpoint. That's why I'm quoting him, because he's saying that this is a rather extraordinary topic, and he's saying be careful with whom you speak with about it, because everyone seems to have an opinion. Dr. Viviani, what do you think of that? statement.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad everyone has an opinion, but I want their opinions based on some recent knowledge and facts. So it's nice that the mainstream, he would be mainstream media is starting to cover this without calling it little green men from Mars and, ridiculing it, because some, really high level people are coming out.
And he's also saying, and I agree with this too, he's saying that the media, the mainstream media, some parts don't want you to know what's going on here.
Well, that's another theory, not just the mainstream media. There's a theory about disinformation coming out because I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but the technology is not extraterrestrial, that it's ours, and we don't want people to know about it. So we say, oh, no, it's not ours, it's UFO. That's the opposite view, to throw you off the track.
And Klein is saying that it's unhealthy for these two interpretations to exist. We've got to come to some meeting of the minds. And now that focuses then on this David Grush.
Mm-hmm.
He was a U.S. Air Force officer and a former intelligence officer for the U.S. federal government. Now, he then in turn said what, Doctor, at the latest...
Well, I watched that whole
hearing.
It was fascinating fascinating two ways. Number one, well, he says that we're in possession of non-human spacecraft and dead pilots, and also technology from downed craft. But then upon being pressed on, like, okay, what's your proof? What can you tell us? He had to constantly say, I'll tell you in a closed meeting because I can't. It's confidential, and you have to do it in a skiff.
All right, let's actually hear what he has to say. I think he's saying that in a little bit more. Here we go.
I've been told that there have been attempts to bring down craft, that we've acted offensively against non-human craft.
There have been instances, and there are certain techniques.
Have human beings been hurt or killed by a non-human intelligence?
I was briefed by a few individuals on the program that there were malevolent events like that. We're in a competition with their adversaries to understand this, and it's a multi-decade Cold War that has been under our nose for so long, and I think the obtuse secrecy is actually putting us in a very dangerous position where a country might make a breakthrough. Let's say it's an adversary of ours.
All right, so he's saying what, basically? He's saying there are UFOs, and we're doing the word, using the old school word, UFO, an unidentified flying object, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's alien. But then on the other hand, he's saying, well, wait a minute, I'm talking about aliens, and I'm talking about there are aliens here. And so what does he talk about different countries being in competition with each other? What does that mean? What's that all about?
That in competition? Well, I think
to find out the information.
Yeah, well, they have their own down craft too, and they want to. Well, not they want to see who knows what, but also, like I said, is he talking about the counterintelligence that they're trying to do?
But what is the thought? This is so human centric. This is so crazy. If there are aliens around, and if there are aliens that are alive that they've been able to interact with, before they die and whatever, and if there are aliens that are in control of technology that's well beyond our means, do you think the aliens would, no matter what we would do to them, torture or whatever, reveal their technology to the Russians, let's say, and not us and whatever? I mean, is that what they're saying? Everyone's trying to get these alien technology to reverse engineer it, at least? Is that what you're saying?
Reverse engineering. I mean, that's what they're claiming.
But if we caught an alien, David Cohen, do you think we'd be able to convince them to do anything? Like, you're an alien, and I'm whatever. I'm this guy in the U.S. government, and I say, you're going to tell us, how do you turn that machine on that you just came down to the planet with, and we want to use it.
But you're also assuming that we can communicate with them in a way that they would understand.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So all of that is an odd supposition that we would have any control, any way, shape, or form, other than, I'm talking about with live aliens, other than with, deceased aliens and their technology that's left behind for us to reverse engineer it. That's the only thing that makes sense to me about the government getting involved in terms of trying to control this situation. Doctor?
Well, I just want to step back a little bit. It's more than just trying to control the situation. What scares the people is that these sightings by the Navy pilots and by these credible sources, and they have them documented on their radar, on night vision, on all kinds of high-tech equipment, that the maneuvers that these things are doing are so extraordinary that there's no... First of all, if it's not alien and it's from another country, then we're in big trouble because there's no way we can match it. So, but that they're saying, oh, well, our airspace is being invaded. So, in a way, we're hoping it's not from another country, because if it's outworldly, if they had bad intentions, that it would probably be happened already.
All right, we will dive into this and more in the next section of Everything Old is New Again. Come on back.
This is Anson Mount, and you're listening to Everything Old is New Again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
How about that? Anson Mount joining us from the netherworld. He's out in space himself. He's the Captain Pike of Strange New Worlds. Everything Old is New Again, Douglas Viviani. That's nice. David Cohen, joined by the Ufologist Extraordinaire, Dr. John Viviani, the aficionado of all things odd. We're back. Now, we're talking about this this revelation that we had from this whistleblower, they call him, right? That was in
Congress.
In Congress, right? They had him. Who's scarier, the whistleblower or some of these congressmen? David Cohen.
I don't know. They're both scary to me.
I mean, you see this.
What do you mean by that question? What do you mean scarier?
Because there are some of them that are asleep at the wheel, is the bottom line. Or there are some of them, they've got people, have you seen this? Behind them, whispering the questions to ask, because they're complete just figureheads. they've not researched anything. They got a piece of paper and they just want to read their speech. And then eventually they get to a question. They give the person 10 seconds to ask the question, because all the time is used up by their pontification. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I hate that when they're supposed to ask questions and they just go on and on. They have 5 minutes and they take 4 minutes to make a speech,
right?
And 1 minute to do a question.
Because they're all campaigning.
Yeah, it's a never-ending campaign for some of these people. It's unbelievable, and so that's what scares me a little bit, and that's what scared Luis Elizondo. We've talked about him before. Do we remember Luis Elizondo, everybody, or no?
Yes.
He was a former U.S. Army counterintelligence special agent. He's now moved on to star in a History Channel television series, Unidentified, Inside America's UFO Investigation. And he's the first whistleblower, really, of significance from the U.S. government. And I think that he presents us the best evidence. Let's back up a little bit here. Are there really UFOs? Let's hear him, and then we hear the doctor talk about this. This is him talking about the Tic Tac UFO exploration.
2004. It involved the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group looking at some sort of object coming in from 80,000 feet, and within less than a second, now hovering 50 feet over the water. Commander Dave Fravor, by the way, a Top Gun graduate and instructor, to what he describes as this white, looks like a Tic Tac, literally like the breath mint. And it's about 40 feet long. There's no windows, no real wings or control surfaces, no obvious signs of propulsion. And yet this object is witnessed now by 4 separate individuals in 2 separate aircraft, bouncing back and forth almost like a ping pong ball right over the surface of the water. All of a sudden, this thing begins to react to Commander Fravor's evasive maneuvers. And really, as Commander Fravor's coming in for a better look, this thing begins to maintain its distance, and almost, so that tells us, first of all, it's intelligently controlled. And all of a sudden, like that, it's gone. What's even more scary, which is in about 5 seconds afterwards, and we know this conclusively, we did the investigation, this object now is picked up once again on radar 60 miles away. And in fact, it is now at the rendezvous point waiting for them. So something certainly well beyond our capabilities even today. Hypersonic velocity, instantaneous acceleration,
And what, Dr. Viviani? Go for it.
Oh, no entrails, no heat signature. That's and beyond what we can do. I'll jump in for a second here. He's describing the Tic Tac. Going back to the congressional hearings, this is something you may enjoy because I'm going to do a Star Trek reference.
Here we go.
One of the pilots described the UFO as a bubble, but inside the bubble was what? What do you think?
Inside the bubble?
Inside the bubble.
Captain Kirk?
A cube.
Yeah.
All right. So, like the Borg.
Exactly. What do you think? David
A cube inside a bubble.
Well, what's the bubble?
There was I don't know. It was like their ship. Or it was the thing. He saw a clear bubble with a cube inside.
Wow. All right. So now we're talking about Elizondo here. Well, let me go back up. David Cohen, does David Grush, former intelligence agent for the United States Air Force, and Luis Elizondo, the former U.S. Army counterintelligence special agent and director of global security and special programs, do these two individuals carry any gravitas with you, any credibility about what they're saying here?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a congressional hearing right now.
So now, if here's the thought, if they carry credibility, then what does that mean? They're describing in sum that we have been visited by aliens, that we have aliens, and we have alien technology. This is what the two of them are saying. If this is true, what does this portend for our future? David Cohen.
That's such a simple question to answer, Doug. Yeah, well, I believe what they're saying. I don't know what to make of it because there's really, what do we do with it, right?
Doctor?
I know exactly, but I'll say two things. Elizondo's program, Unidentified, was on the History Channel, was the best series I've ever seen on UFOs. It didn't sensationalize it. It was more scientific. So they addressed these questions like what could these things be? They interviewed Navy guys, all kinds of things. But my second point was that what concerns me or maybe makes me curious is I watched those hearings, all right, and you watch these guys and they're very credible. I'm like, okay, either they're telling the truth. Well, either they're telling the truth or they're being fed information that they think is the truth, but these were eyewitnesses as well. So I don't think that's the case. Or everybody's lying. But to what purpose are they lying? They're not getting financial gain from this. They're being ridiculed. They lost their jobs, the witnesses. And so but the point is, the public, you would think that the media after this this would have been the biggest event ever if it's true. And they're covering like, oh, yeah, we had UFO hearings. Who knows what happened? Let's move on to the next story. It's not taken seriously still.
Exactly, because they're all pontificating, as we talked about. Here we go. Luis Elizondo is going to answer your question, though. If it's real, now what?
So what I've said for the record, which is unfortunately all I can say, is that it is my belief that the United States is in possession of exotic material. Because whether or not these are real, that's no longer up for debate. This is a fact. We're here, folks. The question is, what is it? Where is it from? What is its intent, and what can or should we be doing about it?
All right, so I guess he asked the question. He didn't answer it either. These two gentlemen, let me just say, have expressed, and especially Grush, that he has fears for his life. He fears for reprisals for what he has said, because they're revealing, or he specifically is revealing what we just said, that they have 12 UFOs in hand, and exotic material is really is a non-human biological I don't want to say person, but whatever, an alien. Correct, Doctor?
More than one alien, he says. It's got technology. But I'll take the counter view as well. I've always thought, if all these crafts are here, why are they being crashing with all their high technology where they can't handle what's going on? But the answer possibly could be, from what I've heard, is that we actually have like these, they call them sonic weapons, which we're actually attacking them. because we want, they're not attacking us, but we're kind of using weapons to throw off the navigation, and that's why they crash. I just can't understand why they keep crashing. I don't know.
Well, do we have lasers?
Yes, we have lasers.
So define laser.
Oh, I forgot the exact definition of
laser.
I mean,
is it like a phaser?
No, it's a high impulse photonic energy, light energy. But it's not lasers. It's like this. They said it's sound. Well, they also, although there is video in space of some sort of light coming up from space, hitting one of these or attacking one of these objects, and the objects moved out of the way. That was from the space station video.
But there's allegations that we have lasers.
Yeah, we have lasers.
Lasers are very, very, very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So could we not hit a UFO with a laser?
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah.
And if these are peaceful beings, would they fight back? Probably not.
Right. So they're not fighting back, as from what I can see. But
well, why are we like the old 1950s movies? And in theory, it sounds like we're engaging these aliens in a violent way.
Yeah.
Why?
Because did you see the day the Earth stood still?
I sure did.
Yeah.
We need those robots to secure us. Because, what's his name? Katu?
Yeah.
How about that?
I don't want to get involved with your petty struggles of your planet.
Exactly. Well, now here's a question. Now, this is going to cause problems. What happened in Hawaii? Anything to do with any of this?
No.
All right. We'll leave it there then.
Yeah, they attacked Maui. That's what they wanted to do.
I'm just asking questions. I'm not presenting any answers. David Cohen, did I have any answer? Was it wrong to ask the question?
No comment.
Yeah. I've never heard that one, that the aliens attacked Maui.
I didn't say the aliens did. I said we have lasers and phasers, do we not?
Oh.
Could something have gone astray? Could it have been a bad experiment?
Oh, yeah, there was an experiment gone bad.
Well, you tell me. I don't know what on in there. I'm not saying. I'm just throwing it out there because we have lots of shows that we need to fill airtime with. So we need to get. We all do know that this. Well, let me ask you this: you said you watched that show, the Elizondo show,
yes,
the Unidentified Inside America's UFO Investigation. Was that the best? You said it was the best show. Was that the best investigation that you have done? Is that
better than my investigation?
Well, I guess I'm asking is that your investigation, or is there something beyond that consists of your
how does it compare to your investigation?
I can't give that away. I can't give that away.
You're just like David Grush.
Like Grush. I'd be happy to answer your questions in a more secure environment.
Okay, off the air, he'll tell us that. We'll be back right after this on Everything Old is New Again. Continue, Dr. Viviani, fishing out of all things odd.
Hi, this is Aaron Gray, and you're listening to Old is New Again.
Old is New Again. Welcome to Old is New Again.
Hey, we're
which
back.
Is really, I think, what we're more about.
I mean, listen, that Aaron Gray, she had some career. She started off with that Buck Rogers, and she bookended her career with a wonderful appearance on Everything Old is New Again. And so, we're talking sci-fi, we're talking UFOs, we're talking all that. What's the new phrase, Doc? We're here with Dr. Viviani. What are they using instead of UFO?
UAP.
Why? Why are they doing that?
Unidentified aerial phenomenon. Why are they doing that? Because I think the term UFO has become too ridiculed, possibly.
And or scary, because I think that we possibly could be leading up to some kind of revelation that we are not alone. And let's listen to Bill Nelson and talk about this. The NASA or former NASA administrator.
Nassau County?
NASA, NASA. Here we go.
As a former senator, a former astronaut, and now the administrator of NASA, what is your reaction to the release of that U.S. intelligence report on the series of UFO sightings by Navy pilots and others?
They saw something. They tracked it. They locked their radar onto it. They followed it. It would suddenly move quickly from one location to another. My feeling is that there is clearly something there.
Obviously, you have so much knowledge about what our adversaries are capable of. Do you know if they have the capabilities to create these flying objects like this?
We don't think so. Ever since that video from the Navy pilots came out, people are hungry to know. And of course, ever since Star Trek, people are yearning to find out what's out there in the cosmos. Are we alone? Personally, I don't think we are.
There we go. Star Trek reference, not by any of us, but by Bill Nelson, who, let's look at this fella. I want you to understand this. He was in the Army Reserve during Vietnam War. He went into the Space Shuttle Columbia. He was on a mission in Space Shuttle Columbia. He was in Congress, House of Representatives. He was a senator. And now he is the NASA, we'll say, right? He's the administrator of NASA right now. Does he carry any gravitas when he tells you he does not believe we're alone? David Cohen.
Yes, he does.
So now, go ahead.
What's the point of that question, though?
Because I always lay some groundwork. I'm laying groundwork here. There are now 3 people that we have all said have credibility, that have said they believe either they've seen, they've heard of, they know of aliens being involved with Earth in some way or another. I'm using general terms, right?
Yes.
Dr. Viviani,
yes,
so we're a long way away from our first show when everyone was laughing at the way we were talking about Hollywood dealing with the UFO phenomenon, and were they, with like David Cohen's favorite movie, Close Encounters, were they trying to lay the groundwork to get us used to the idea that there are aliens amongst us? Yes or no?
Well, they're not laughing at Hollywood anymore. They're laughing at us.
Well, exactly. And
no, yes, the groundwork. Well, Hollywood theory is like, they're desensitizing the public to the idea of extraterrestrial life here, and they're trying to ease you into it.
And they better be laughing at us, because that's what we're trying to do here, David Cohen. We're bringing facts and difficult realities in a nice, light way. Yes or no?
So why should they? Oh, I see. Okay. So we're presenting facts in a funny way?
Or a fun way at the very least. Because could this not be scary? Could there be, let's just say, we talked about Star Trek, Klingons versus Captain Kirk visiting the planet, Doctor?
Sure, why not?
And if that was the case, then where would we be?
Up the creek.
Or another question, why would a spacefaring civilization have any interest in controlling or taking over people of another planet?
Oh, I don't think that's the case. I personally think the case is similar to in Star Trek, that we've reached a technology where we could start destroying, going outside of our Earth and destroying the atmosphere or the ecosphere, whatever you want to call it, and it's impinging on other societies, and they want to make sure that we're kept in check.
David Cohen.
I'm not sure what the question was, but I think that, if we are being visited, it's no ill intent on behalf of whatever life form is coming here. I think they're just curious, or they want to see if, we're some sort of like viral germ that can infect them at some point. But I think they're probably so beyond what we're even capable of ever imagining, that I think it's more of just like a fact-finding thing.
They wouldn't be coming. They wouldn't necessarily be carbon-based, so they wouldn't be coming here. I'm making an example up like sci-fi stories and all this, where the aliens are coming here for our water or something, our resources. It wouldn't make any sense, because another planet probably wouldn't value water. They would have something else that would be their life-sustaining nutrients, right? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think we should be afraid of that kind of presence on the planet.
Well, it could be an excursion from a cruise ship.
Of course, that's what I've been saying for a long time. That's what I know it is. I know it to be that. Listen, if they have the technology to travel hundreds of light years.
It's like a sightseeing thing,
it's an excursion. You know how you go on these excursions on the cruise ships?
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. Hey, you want to go visit Earth? Take a look. Look, they had this game called baseball. Take a look. We'll hover over the Yankee Stadium, and then we're out of here. And they'll do it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Go on a subway. Have you seen that video, by the way, on YouTube? With
no.
Alien on the subway? You seen that one, David Cohen?
No. I mean, I see aliens on the subway all the time. But...
There are people, either people that have great makeup or great AI or something, or there's an alien riding a subway. I think it's great makeup, but you gotta look up alien on subway. It's an amazing.
Okay.
It's so funny, but it really looks real. It looks amazing. But anyway, back to it. The idea is we then have to think about the next step. Will there ever in our lifetime, Doctor, from your research, is this coming to a head at some point? Are we getting to the height of the mountain at some point? Will there be someone that will present to the world, this is Katu from planet Andromeda, and he's going to tell you what what to do next, or where is he from?
In my heart, I really hope so. But I mean, I think it's being downplayed or ridiculed, or like I said, you got these whistleblowers come out in front of Congress, and some of these congressmen or people say, oh, it's disinformation, it's not true, or they're making it up, or they're just like, oh yeah, it is true, but I got other things on my plate. I don't know, let's once and for all do something serious about it. Find it out, find out what's going on.
All right, we got this Senator Rubio. I got some quotes here. He says that people with very high clearances in government are reporting discoveries of UFO spacecraft, and some of the details are beyond the realm of what any of us have ever dealt with. Therefore, he is saying, I don't know, but we should have an investigation. Here's my thought. Do we want the investigation to be Congress investigating this? David Cohen.
No.
I agree. We don't, these senators and Congress people, lots of them are really great, whatever. Lots of them are like zombies themselves, just looking for votes, they got to have to look for the next vote, the next vote, the next vote. So
they can't get it their own way. I mean, they disagree about everything. So any kind of investigation, there would be internal strife. It would never get off the ground. No, definitely not.
I have to. Nothing about UFOs. I'm talking about Congress, and I'll make this guy nameless. There was a hearing years ago, and his concern was overpopulation on an island, and he was wondering. He actually asked the question: do you think the island could tip over?
Yeah. They're not. Let's understand what the founding fathers said and agreed and knew. They're just people like you and I. Just because they're president, vice president, whatever, Congress, they're just another person, and educated or uneducated is the next person, right? So they're not, we need to always be vigilant, not only the government, but vigilant about what information is being presented and who is presenting it. And that's why, but I do want to say on the other side, the fact that the government is involved and did have this hearing with whistleblowers that we've all agreed have credibility, that to me then in turn lends a little bit of credibility to the government on this side of it. Is that fair to say, Doctor?
Yes, there is some credibility. But again, the counter argument is, they're coming out with the story to distract you from other things that are going on in the news that the government doesn't want you to talk about. So we talk about this, which isn't even real, but it's fantastical. So, I don't know if we're ever going to get the truth. I just don't know.
And you're doing all this research and you don't know.
I can't get to the bottom of it.
A little disturbing. Dr. Viviani here on Everything Old is New Again, visiting us for the 17th time. The 18th time will be next week.
Oh, boy.
But we're not done with this show. Stay here. Hold on to your hats. We are going to get back to a little more discussion about NASA and UFOs and all the revelations that came out last month. All right, right here on Everything Old is New Again.
You're listening to Everything Old is New Again. My name is Nicholas Meyer. I am the writer-director of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and several Sherlock Holmes novels, including the forthcoming The Adventure of the Peculiar Protocol.
Hi, this is Walter Koenig, and you're listening to Everything Old is New Again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
Sooner or later, they all make their way to Everything Old is New Again. It cannot be something that is not checked. Well, let's go this way. It's a bucket list appearance for all of these individuals in Hollywood. David Cohen, what do you think of that?
Yeah.
All right. Dr. Viviani, you were suitably impressed with that introduction.
Wow, I was very impressed to hear some of that, especially the director of the movie,
Nicholas Meyer,
and then you got one of the guys you grew up with, idolizing in a little way. Well, because
was that was Chekhov?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, this is unbelievable. How are we getting these people on this show?
They're lining up at the door.
I'm telling you. David Cohen, before I get into more discussion of the UFO situation as I see it, I want to know now, you have heard all of this for the last 17 shows, culminating in the last 30 minutes of this show, if you will. I would like to know your thoughts. If you want me to ask a specific question, I will, but your thoughts on the topic of UFOs and the visitation or not upon Earth.
Whether I believe there's a visitation?
I want to hear your thoughts, whatever thoughts you have.
Whatever thoughts. You don't really want to know my real thoughts. But I'll tell you what's appropriate for this show. Yeah, I think we're being visited. And as I said before, I don't think we're really important to any of these any of these alien visitors. What am I saying?
Alien visitors.
Alien visitors.
There you go.
Other than, like you guys said before, maybe their tourism industry or curiosity, or maybe just to see if we present some sort of, viral or bacterial or other threat to their existence. But I think beyond that, they don't really care much about us.
Now, if we were to, I am sort of aligned there on that, especially with the cruise ship analogy. I am interested in one thing I saw last night with the kids. And I thought I don't think it's worth asking. If you remember the beginning of Superman movie in 1978 with Christopher Reeve, if you remember that, you're a fan of this show, you certainly do. And you remember General Zod and the other two that they sent off in this glass pane, right, into outer space. And if you remember the end of that movie, Lex Luthor shot two missiles, one to New Jersey and one to California, right? And Superman took the one to Jersey and he redirected it out to outer space, a nuclear bomb. And if you remember the second episode or the second movie of that series, that atomic bomb hit, or at least went off, and freed General Zod and the other two to come to Earth and battle against Superman. Do you remember that to begin with, David Cohen?
Yes, I do.
Isn't that amazing? You remember that? It really had an effect on us, didn't it? That was like 16,
It really
17.
did.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Remember that. Doctor, do you remember that?
Of course I do.
So, analogizing that, do you feel the aliens at some point feel that we might turn our destructive nature to outer space in any way, shape, or form, such as that by mistake or even on purpose? And that may be one of the reasons that they're taking a visit and taking a look.
Yes, and on a serious note, there were, and I've mentioned this in prior shows, there were instances of nuclear arsenals being shut down with reports of lights hovering above the nuclear arsenals, and they were actually shut down. They couldn't, it was inoperable for, I think, a half an hour or so, and then it went back on, but it was unprecedented. And again, it was followed by, they had to investigate lights in the sky above the nuclear arsenal. So who knows?
But that but that is concerning. Of course, it's just as concerning, I guess, if they're caring individuals and advanced ethically, they would care about what's going on the planet, right? Mm. But and that is analogous. But my question is specifically now
for them.
Do we pose any threat, even if we were to send out every atom bomb that we have, and we've got hundreds, right, maybe thousands, I don't know, on the planet, and just shoot them all into outer space? Would that be a danger to anyone, do you think? David Cohen.
I don't know. And maybe to your point, they're actually looking at that as well to make sure we're not a threat. I doubt something like that would be to them.
Right.
Honestly.
They would have shields or something.
Well,
Doctor?
I've heard some serious reports that, that would be a threat. Not to like the balance of the atmosphere of it would excuse me, It would offset. It'd be detrimental for. You can't just, like we think, just detonate a bomb in space and nothing would happen. It would affect something. It would trickle down. It would affect some way bad.
I guess they're probably more concerned about us blowing ourselves up than doing anything intentionally.
Well, okay. Another question: if Earth blew up from a nuclear war, and you're saying now, when you say blow up, there's a couple things we've seen Earth, be uninhabitable as a result of the radiation and all of that in our movies and science fiction and science, right? Are you saying that, or are you saying actually blew up the Earth? Do we have the capability of blowing this rock up, Doctor?
No, we don't have that. But according to the Planet of the Apes, we have we blew ourselves up in the future.
Yeah,
and it became ape.
Correct. Well, but that's again internal into the planet.
Yeah,
I'm asking. Do you feel that they feel there's something that we can, and shooting them out is one thing. If Earth, I don't think we have the capability.
You mean blow it up like you see the Dark Star blowing up into a million pieces?
The Death Star blowing up Alderaan, correct?
No.
If a planet blew up, would that change the ecosystem, so to speak, of space?
Well, again, supposedly that happened in the distant past. In our solar system, there were planets that blew up from a war between extraterrestrials. That's another subject.
David Cohen, you got to get into that.
They probably know. My guess is that they take a look at the technology we have and the state of affairs in the world, and I'm sure they can project out how long it will take for this to happen if it does happen. And they come and they just monitor to make sure that their analytics are okay.
Well, I agree with you, and I also think that a couple thousand years or something down the line, eventually, you keep on building bombs and whatever, sooner or later you're going to have the capability of blowing this planet up. And if you blow this planet up, I think space is like an ecosystem, and I think, isn't there, you tell me, doesn't each planet have an effect on other planets with the gravity and so forth, right? Aren't we circling the moon the sun, because the sun has so much gravity that pulls us around it, right? In theory, we know the sun, but if one of the projectiles, one of the planets surrounding or going around the sun no longer exists, would that not affect the trajectory of the other planets? Doctor?
I would think so.
All right, so if that happens and that possibly changes our galaxy, if our galaxy changes, wouldn't that change in some way, have a ripple effect upon the Milky Way?
Yeah, I think that's what we're saying.
Well, we're on the radio. I'm trying to bring it out.
Well, that's what I mean, but that's what they're checking on with us. That's my view.
Right. I'm just Thank you. I appreciate the pat on the back for fleshing it out for the general public.
Let's keep talking about it.
We have 3
Doug,
minutes.
Let me ask you: do you think that at some point in the future, that we, as a planet, can self-destruct?
Viviani. William Shatner. I have to say to you this. Everything that I have said, postulated, other than the Maui thing, on this show today, I have a kernel of belief in, for sure. 100%. I think they're here because there's an ecosystem out there, and they're saying, you know what, these fools, I don't know what it is, a millennia from now, or whatever it is, might affect our ecosystem, and we got to curb this and point them in the right direction towards goodness instead of evil. How about that?
I'm all for goodness over evil.
There you go. Get smart reference.
Oh, Jaime.
Yes. Isn't it a shame? No, it's real Jaime, but it's also Siegfried.
Are you saying Jaime from Get Smart?
Jaime the robot was built for goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also Siegfried, when they always capture Siegfried, they would say, isn't it a shame that he used his mind and his capabilities, his genius, for badness instead of good? It's evil over good.
Yeah. What a great show that was.
We had him on the show as well, you know.
No, who? Oh, Siegfried.
Siegfried for 3 episodes.
Yes.
He was amazing. Great.
You talked about Love Boat too?
Sure did. He Prowse. Emily Prowse, is that her name? Juliet Prowse?
Yeah.
One of the guest stars that he loved. He loved her.
Why?
And he was happy.
That was Gavin McLeod?
No, Siegfried.
Siegfried.
Oh, Siegfried, sorry.
Yeah.
Now we know him as Siegfried.
Yeah.
Bernie Capel.
Bernie Capel. And he was very gracious. He spent 3 hours with us on this show. 3 hours.
Wow.
Think about
That's about how long this episode
What did he like
been,
better,
isn't
Get
it?
Smart or Love Boat?
Oh, I didn't ask him that, but the way that he spoke of it, he definitely liked his character on Get Smart much better than the character on Love Boat. But he loved the paycheck on that. I shouldn't say that, but he loved that the Love Boat lasted a long time.
He probably couldn't. The Love Boat appearance wouldn't have happened without Get Smart.
And he walked through Love Boat, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, his character was kind of easy. You know what I mean? He didn't do anything extraordinary, right?
Not
Doctor, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so speaking of the Love Boat and the excursions, we are feeling that the aliens are taking to Earth. We're going to take an excursion now for a week, but we're going to be back next week to continue with Dr. Viviani on all things UFO or UAE. What is it called?
UAP.
Yeah, I have thoughts about that. I'm not a fan of that.
Kind of rolls off the tongue.
I don't like
doesn't
it either.
We'll start with that next week. Right here on Everything Old is New Again. David Cohen, what do you have to say? You're saying goodbye. What are you going to do? Au revoir.
Yeah, looking forward to next week. Continue this scintillating discussion.
There we go. We'll be back. Everything Old is New Again.